Hey everyone, welcome back to iLearner. So we are finally making a video after a long while and it is about a research work wherein I have worked. So the topic is analyzing the scope of copyright protection for AI generated work. If you people want to see the whole research project, then you can see the link attached below in the description box. So in this particular research, in this video, what we'll be seeing is that what exactly are the advantages and disadvantages of giving copyright protection to an AI generated work. So you must have seen in last few years, there are so many works which are being created by AIs autonomously without any human assistance. So in that case, let's say a software or a copyrightable work is being created by an AI, then who exactly should get copyright protection or authorship right over that work? People argue that it should be the owner. Few people say that it should be the programmer of that software. Few people believe that no, it should be the robot itself who should get the copyright protection. So there are so many things going on, right? So firstly, why did I choose this topic for discussion? Well, if you people see the newspaper and if you see what exactly is the current scenario coming up, AI is actually has started integrating with human society and it has started to an extent encroaching upon our right as well. So there is this news article which you people can see wherein like AI has started violating rights of ours, like they are violating copyrights, still we are not able to do anything. So I'll tell you a story. There was this there was this AI which was called as random darknet shopper. So this AI, it used to buy all the illegal passports and it used to show that those things as the in a gallery. So it is actually violating an individual's right. It is actually buying something which is so private to that individual. Then in that case, this question really comes that should we really integrate this AI and should we really start punishing this AI? So all these things we'll be discussing in this video. So you people wait patiently and watch this video till the end. So before I move on, I want to tell you this book. This book was written by an AI, and the book was called as The Day an AI Writes a Novel. So this book is amazing. It has almost won a literary competition. So you can see this thing happening in front of our eyes where AI seems to be having higher intellectual pedestal than a human individual. There was this painter which hold exhibition of her artwork. All of those paintings were original in nature. None of those things were copied, right? Now there are thousands of such examples. If I specifically talk about India, in India there was this software called as Raghav. So this Raghav was able to create paintings which are so exclusive of its own kind. So the registration office, it actually gave this AI co-authorship right. It was not protected individually, however, it was considered as co-author of that work. So it all shows how the situation is changing, how the whole scenario is changing in present scenario, right? Now, the major research question I had for this paper was whether an AI should be granted copyright protection for its autonomously created work. Well, you people must be thinking whether it is really fine to give copyright protection for something which is not even able to think, right? Which does not possess its own intellectuality, which is not a human entity or not a living entity, an unnatural entity, right? So this question does come in our mind. So initially, what the answer I had in my mind was that yeah, we should really grant all this word created by AI copyright protection. And I believe that all the minimal level of creativity criteria was fulfilled. Well, level of creativity is a criteria wherein you have to show something creative, a little difference has to be shown, which should be creative in nature. That is the criteria of minimal level, right? So it has to be shown, then only a work can be copyright protected. So this is what my belief was. Now let's see what would be what was my belief at the end of this research work. Well, Firstly, let's go ahead with the history, philosophy, and evolution part. Now, you people must have seen in past there were like creation of wheel, cave inscriptions, sculpture specimens which are found from ancient time, right? It all shows that we human beings have always been so inclined to create something. We human beings have always been so inclined to own property, right? To do something creative. Well, if it is about creating something, then yeah, there does comes the violation, right? So there are like scenarios. I'll tell you one battle of Kul Demon between Saint Columba and Saint Finan, which had happened. So there, the saint, one of the saint, he copied the book of another saint in his own handwriting. So what happened? This saint, he said, claimed that now this is my original work because it is written in my handwriting. Then this fight started, and literally it led to deaths of many individuals. So that's how a little copyright thing can actually lead to a very huge battle. Now, if you see the industrial revolution aspect, there are three major revolutions which happened: the steam engine, then age of science comes, and then mass production and digital technology rise, right? So this last two stages, this was the period when the copyright thing, the intellectual property right creation, it got a boost. People were so inclined to own some sort of copyright, own some sort of intellectual property, right? Well, now your people will ask me like, why do we human have this? Why do we human even want to own any intellectual property? Well, if you see, let's say if we buy a car, then we really want to drive that. Would you ever share? Like, would you be like that? Like, oh no, no, no. Okay, I bought this car, but okay, let my friend use this car for a month or two. No, you won't, because you were the one who earned the money. Now you want to enjoy the whatever entertainment you can get out of the car, right? You don't want to share. So that's how the concept of enjoying fruits of one's own labor works. Herein you have your own labor, you had your skills, efforts put it on that work. That's why you want to enjoy whatever fruits, whatever benefits you'll be getting out of that. So this is the basic prime psychological rationale behind why a human want to enjoy right or enjoy a work wherein he has given his effort, right? Now, secondly, if you see people, then we human always want to have exclusive right? And we even don't want anyone else to use that. However, during the Industrial Revolution period, there was this time when people used to copy the work. Still, like there was no law, so copyright violation was so rampant, which actually gave rise to germination to copyright laws, right? Uh, so that we can incentivize authors to create more and more works, which can in turn help society in improving its intellectual property, right? Because these authors, they are gonna create those works, and they'll be then publishing and availing that to the public domain only, right? So in turn, we'll be the one who will be benefited out of that intellectual creation. Now, if you people want to know what are the major theories, how does this copyright area work, then I want to tell you that there are three major theories behind copyright protection. First one theory is the incentive theory, and then we have personality theory, and then labor theory. So I'll be discussing about all these theories in detail in further discussions. So let's move on. Well, before we move on to those part, though that theory part, I want to tell you how does an AI work. So you people should understand how an AI works. Does an AI really have any sort of personality? Can AI think? For that purpose, we need to go or delve a little deeper, right? So, an AI works on deep learning, neural networking, cognitive computing, and computer vision, automated machine learning. If you people want to know all this technical thing, I'll be telling you in brief. It's exactly like imitating a human brain. How do we see through our eyes, and then how do we make a perception in our brain? Then we figuratively, like let's say if there is this elephant, then we look for a trunk, right? So is the case with an AI. The AI, it would try to figure out what are the essential things which are required to make anything, or to recognize any particular thing as uh, like to be a particular thing, right? So that's how this computer vision work. Cognitive computing is like this. So there was this AI, still remember Watson, which was working as an anchor in a TV show, IBC, I don't know, it's IBM, I guess, yeah. So these people, they made this Watson, which was able to do debate, which was able to make reasoning, which was able to make arguments. So this cognitive computing, you can help you in making so many combination, which can help AI to have its own cognitive perception, and it can actually let AI think in its own. Now, deep learning is also like that. It's about like deep layered learning, wherein you have so many layers. I mean, you just connect all the dots, and then you uh, create different nexuses, and then you have so many answers for a particular situation. So it's like a deep learning thing, right? And automated machine learning, you people, I hope you understand, when a computer is able to understand things on its own by observing or by learning, by data reception, by analyzing the data. When computer software or an AI is able to learn, that's how automated machine learning happens. So you people, if you see, there are so many AI based programs which are able to create original copyrightable work, right? And that too by autonomous like working, right? So there was this Stref photograph, it is able to click pictures without any human assistance. And there is this next Rembrandt project for creating brand new paintings. Then we have this Aron for making computer programs. Like there are so many other examples you people can keep coming up with, right? However, what point I want to make here is that you like AI has literally started going far ahead than what we had imagined. It has now, if you'll just sit in your chair, and if you'll close your eyes and you'll just imagine how this thing can actually impact human beings. Because we human beings, we have our own limitation. We cannot work for 24 into 7, but AI can work. It means if AI is able to work, it can go far ahead in our pursuit of intellectuality, in our journey of achieving higher intellectuality, right? So in one hand it is able to and it is actually going to help us, whereas on another hand it is going to bring in some sort of threat for us, that okay, there can be anything wrong which can happen to us. Now moving ahead with advantages part, what should be the why should we grant copyright protection for an AI generated work? So, people, I have six major reasons why we should grant copyright protection. First of all, because it fulfills the modicum of originality criteria. So, basically, in copyright, we have this concept called as originality. In India, there was this case of ABC versus DB Modak versus ABC or something like that. So, in that case only, the Indian courts were very clear that on ground of originality only we'll be granting copyright protection. So if you see, there was this trap photograph, right? The images created by that AI, it is original in nature. It is first of its kind. No one ever clicked that picture, right? No one created that song. No one created that painting. No one did that. It means it is all exclusive of its kind, right? Now, second reason is that if you let any work uncopyrighted, whether it's of AI or of a human individual, but if you keep that thing uncopyrighted, trust me, it is going to lead to a brain drain and deviancy among human beings. Because if you see, we human beings, we are so inclined to use those things which are so freely available, which would not lead us to any legal battle, right? So let's say if AI's work is not protected, then I, being a human, I would like to go ahead and use that particular software or that particular book or that particular song, whatever this AI has created, because obviously it is not registered, therefore it cannot strike any copyright against me, right? So that's the thing. Therefore, it is important that there should be deterrence against we people, so that we don't do any such stuff, because internet is going to hamper our intellectuality only, right? Because if I won't be working, I'll be just copying others work, then it is not going to help me in my long run. So that's why it is disadvantages from both the sides. Now, third reason is that it would supplement human intellectuality. I've already made this point clear that AI can go far ahead than what we can even imagine. So we should always welcome anything intellectual, like intellectual, which is coming for society, human society, for our development only. Now, the fourth reason which I have is that many a times, like there was this report I was reading, so many a times the natural person behind AI generated work is not clear. So many people argue that why do we not grant copyright protection to the manufacturer or the programmer of that AI? Trust me, guys, it's not that easy because AI is not created by a particular individual, right? There are so many individuals working behind creating that body, creating that entity. So it's not clear who was that single natural person who should be given copyright protection, who was having the highest level of contribution behind the functioning of that AI. It's not clear. So that's why this gets a little tougher when you try to come up with alternative options. Now, fifth reason is that if you let any copyrightable work uncopyrighted, then it is actually going to hamper rights of those authors whose work are copyrighted, who have their royalties, who are enjoying their own economic benefits. How is it going to hamper? Because let's say there is book A and there's book B. A is written by an AI, and there's this book B which is written by a human being. Human beings' work is copyrighted, whereas AI's work is not copyrightable, so it's available in public domain without any copyright, right? So I, being a human, I'd rather go for book A because it's freely available, and I won't buy book B because almost like the content of the books are almost similar. Why would I not? Because I'll have to pay for that book. Why would I pay if I'm already getting an alternative without any money? So it is going to hamper other authors' right. So it is not justified. It won't be fair for others. Now, last reason is that it will actually encourage research and development. Because in India, if you see, let's say if we are getting a little liberal, and if laws are actually providing all this sort of scope for AI or technological development, then why would an industrialist would not like to invest in technology sector in India especially? Because if we are more welcoming towards all those changes, then industrialists, they definitely seem to be so incentivized for bringing in more FDIs, foreign direct investment. So it will be in turn giving economic boost, economical development in our nation. Now, moving on to the disadvantage part. Well, people, why AI should not be given authorship right? We can understand this question in two parts. Firstly, because AI generated work or authorship for an AI, it does not abide by three basic core theories of artificial intellectual property right protection, right? So first one theory is the labor theory. If you see, let's say there is this book by an AI, do you people think that this AI has any sort of labor done behind that word? Well, it is not. It was the programmer who gave all the stuff, right? It was the programmer, the developer of that AI who did all the labor, who did a labor can be in two forms. First one would be your mental labor, and second one would be your capital investment, your like investment sort of labor you'll be doing. So both of this thing is coming from the manufacturer, from the programmer, not from the AI itself. Even though if you say ki this AI has done some labor, it has bore some pain, it's not possible. AI is not a conscious or sentient being. Now you can see it in the incentive theory. I have clearly mentioned that AI has no sentience, right? So let's say if you're saying that I'll be giving this incentive of a copyright protection to AI, well, it won't be impacting it at all because AI is anyhow gonna work even though you don't provide any copyright protection. So it won't bother. Now, third of all, like the personality theory, does AI, I'll ask you a question. Just close your eyes and think for a minute. Does AI really have any sort of personality, like extrovert or introvert, or being so jovial, social? Does AI have any sort of intellectuality? Can AI have its own ideas? Can AI think? All these questions you people should delve into and just try to understand the fictional concept which is being shown in the movie. Do you people really believe these fictions can get into reality of the future? If it is, then try to figure out the paradigm as to how would that be possible. So I'll tell you, there was this case of beauty pageant competition which had happened, wherein an AI judge was there. So this AI judge, what it did, it actually rejected all the dark-skinned women after looking into the history, past history. So you people can understand that there is no personal will, personal choice of the AI. It is actually analyzing the data, and whatever result is coming up, it is doing or delivering such a sort of judgment. So it would be not justified if we let this AI function in that paradigm. Now, the second reason why it should not be granted authorship right, because AI has no deterrence. You people still, if you remember, there was this philosopher H.L.A. Hart. He gave this theory of punishment. So he had said that for creating any deterrence, there must be pain or other consequence which is normally considered unpleasant, which is normally considered unacceptable for anyone. So if you see, can a AI really feel any sort of pain or pleasure? Can it really have any sort of unpleasant result or consequence which will deter it to not do any sort of copyright violation? No, I don't think so. So therefore, we can say like on AI, copyright law does not seem to work. So if we'll give copyright protection to AI, well, it is gonna challenge whole copyright law regime, right? Now, I want to discuss about this 2 point. It seems so interesting for me. Well, if you people remember in our school, in our college, we had studied about the social contract viewpoint. Well, if you people will see the basic concept of social contract, it was a contract by the people for the people and all the people sort of thing. Like only people were the party to that contract. Not animal, non any non-living entity was thought of being a part of such contract. So if our evolution of our whole society does not accept it any sort of change like that, and I don't think that it would be fine to integrate AI generated work with human works, right? Now, if you see the right and duty balance, it is so intrinsic. It is even there in our constitution, wherein we have rights and then we have duties hand on hand. For AI, do you people really think if you'll give copyright, then it can maintain duty as well? Do you really believe that AI would not violate copyright protection of an individual? Well, we cannot be sure about that part because it has no sentience, it has no deterrence, it has no understanding. So it does not understand the norms of society, it does not understand the paradigm in which society works. So it is a little problematic thing. Now, last point, very interesting point I want to discuss with you people. Let's say in case there is this AI thing, like if in case we have started giving copyright protection to AI, we already know AI can be far better than a normal human individual because it has more data, it has more knowledge, it has more like ideas, not ideas, but yeah, it has more information with which it can do far better than what a living individual can do, right? So therefore there can be a situation, a fictional situation, wherein a competition can start happening between AIs only, right? Within superior AIs, they can start like having a fight, like okay, they'll try to make something better, they'll try to make something better. So in turn, who would be impacted? We human beings are the one who will be dominated by all these AIs, right? So it's a little problematic thing. Now let's move on to international perspective. So I want to discuss about what is the stance of other countries with regards to this particular copyright protection for AI generated work. In TRIPS, there is no provision as such. However, Berne Convention, it mentions the provision in terms of he and she. That's why we can make out the thing that they are only bothered about natural beings, not about unnatural or AI beings, right? So it's not possible under TRIPS or Berne Convention to give copyright, right? Now in USA, there was this very interesting case of Naruto and Slater. So this case is famously known known as monkey selfie case. So this monkey, what happened? It took a selfie selfie by snitching the camera from the cameraman, and this photo got very viral. It was sold for a very high amount. The PETA filed a case and they said that the copyright should go to the monkey, but court was very clear that they'll be not giving copyright protection to any non-living entity because a non unnatural like non-human entity, you can say. So these people, like, the court denied and they said we have only place for human beings, not for anyone else. In European Union, Article 2, Clause 1 of Computer Program Directive, it also mentions only about natural person as the author. In Singapore, this case, Asia Pacific Publisher and Pioneer Publishers, this case made this very clear that companies cannot be given copyright protection. And they clearly mentioned that if copyright were to be awarded to, in this case, a non-living corporate entity, or in general any non-living entity, such as AI would allow copyright protection in perpetuity. So they will not allow any non-living entity any sort of copyright protection. So that's how we can make out thing that they don't have place. In China, there was this Dreamwriter case wherein this AI Dreamwriter, it used to write like news articles. So once the another website, they copied the whole article and published it on their website. So the case went to the court. Court said that yeah, we'll be giving copyright, we will be protecting your work. However, we are not ready to provide that copyright protection to AI, but we'll be giving it to the company which is owning or the website, right? So they are ready to come up with alternative, but they are not directly ready to give any sort of copyright protection to that AI itself. In Japan, there was this book we discussed, right? However, in Japan, there's no copyright for AI. In South Africa and Australia, recently there was this patent inventor Dabus. So this Dabus was given patent protection. However, for copyright, I haven't seen any change happening. Law is not clear on AI generated copyrightable work. In India, we are not clear. However, let's see what would be happening after this Raghav case, which recently came in 2021-22 only. Well, after all this discussion, let's come to a conclusion. Well, firstly, I'll ask you people to decide on your own. What do you think? Should we really grant AI with the copyright protection for its original work, for its autonomously created work? What's your opinion? Now I'll tell you my opinion. What I believe is that after analyzing all this aspect, I see more disadvantages than advantages, right? So for a law, there should be clarity, there should be practicality of a law. Then only we can pass a law or we can make a law to be executed in the society. However, this law, this seems to be so surreal for the timing. It seems so fictional. So I don't believe this is the right time to expect an AI to be an author, or having any place for AI generated work to be copyrighted in name of that AI only. Well, then you people must be asking, then how should we deal with this situation wherein, yeah, we cannot stop AI generated work to come up. They will be creating work. So should we let it publicly available without any copyright protection? Well, I have recommendations. So there are three major things we can do. Firstly, what we can do, we have seen the concept of contract of service and contract for service. So contract for service, like you're doing it independently for some company or something. However, if contract of service is there, then it is like you are doing service or work under someone. So AI is being owned by an individual. AI can be employed by an individual. So whatever company who is owning that AI should get copyright over that work. So we can do that contract or service thing, right? And accordingly providing ownership to the proprietor of the AI. Now, owner of the, like, and furthermore, what alternative or laws provision we can come up with is that, like, owner or programmer of such AI, we can give these people with such copyright protection. And after that, we can add any specific provision under copyright law, or and wherein we can have some limited rights or some limited protection for AI generated work, which can actually, for the time being, deal with this status quo, deal with the problem which we are facing for the time being. I hope you people understood this topic, and if you really have any sort of personal opinion, you people can mention in the below in the comment section. From my side, that's all. Thanks for watching the video till the very last end. Bye.